Hello, and welcome to our Wellbeing at Work podcast series. My name is Bianca Bowie, and I'm the Ambassador Program Manager at Workplace Options. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of welcoming Shelby Lane, Director of Global Clinical Relations. We started a series last year called The Peer Approach to Supporting Workplace Wellbeing, where we've invited several guests to speak about the Workplace Options Wellbeing Ambassador Program. Wellbeing ambassadors are part of an organization's strategy to create a safe and psychologically healthy workplace. Workplace Options flagship training for wellbeing ambassadors has been extremely popular since it was launched in 2021. It has been given the stamp of approval by the International Institute of Risk and Safety Management, IIRSM. Through this training offered by Workplace Options, participants receive extensive training to support them in their role as a wellbeing ambassador. The program equips them with the skills to support those experiencing a mental health challenge, raise awareness about mental well-being, recognize signs of concern, intervene appropriately, and manage conversations in an effective and sensitive way. One of those components of the Workplace Options Wellbeing Ambassador Program is ongoing ambassador peer support. Shelby, I'm excited to be speaking with you today about the peer support meetups as you have helped coordinate those peer discussions. Can you explain to everyone a little bit more about those peer meetups and what they entail?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. So yes, the peer meetups are a pivotal and very important part of the ambassador program. They are unique in a sense of they are kind of like the first of its kind. The meetings are scheduled after the ambassadors are formally trained in their roles. They continue on a regular cadence, either monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly. They do offer the volunteer ambassadors ongoing support so that they can continue to advocate for the emotional well-being of their colleagues. So they meet with a counselor. The counselor facilitates those sessions, and they are provided with resources amongst their peers where they can share their experience, ask questions, go through case vignettes to kind of talk through what it is that they're hearing, the type of questions they are being asked, the type of concerns that they are being presented with, so they can continue to provide the best support to their colleagues. They do go through regular topics or different topics, either on a monthly basis or a bi-monthly basis, or even on a quarterly basis. The topics are relevant to the role or the work that they do as an ambassador. Like I said, they do have the opportunity to share their experience, ask questions and concerns as they work to be better in their roles.
Oh, great. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit more about how these meetups are typically structured?
So the sessions are usually 1 hour, and they are broken down into a few key components. About 5 minutes of each of the sessions are going over ground rules, going through a relaxation or grounding exercise to get them really focused on the here and now. So the sessions are usually virtual, so we want them to kind of plug into what's happening in the moment. We don't want them checking emails, being distracted by external forces. We want them really focused on what's happening in the meeting. So we do an exercise at the beginning to kind of ground them and get them relaxed in the moment. So we do that at the very beginning of the session. And then about 25 to 30 minutes is really focused on the topic for that month. So kind of that education piece, that practical support. So we do go over topics about things like identifying emotional triggers. We do go over topics about how do we support someone with or who's struggling with kind of high work stress. We do go over topics about helping someone who may be experiencing domestic violence, things within those different veins. So we do about 25 minutes of kind of that education practical support piece. And then we do 20 minutes of that where we go through kind of examples, case vignettes, kind of breaking through scenarios of, okay, hypothetically, if you were presented with this situation, how would you support this particular colleague? Or if there is a particular situation that you've been presented with, maybe in a similar situation, how did you navigate that? And what advice would you give to other ambassadors in this situation? And then we take about 10 minutes of that time at the end to kind of debrief and go through what are the key takeaways from this session. How will you use that information going forward? And then at the end, we give them a survey to really focus on what was helpful in this session, what can we do better moving forward.
Okay, that is awesome. That I like the way you guys have that structured. And I know we talked a little bit earlier about the topics, but can you talk to us about how these topics help to contribute to the ambassador's ongoing continuing education?
Sure. So, like I said, the ambassadors play a really important role in prioritizing the well-being of their colleagues within the organization. They are not clinical professionals. They do not diagnose their colleagues. They are a bridge to get them connected to available resources. They create awareness within the organization. They help reduce mental health stigma. They help signpost them to additional services when needed. They provide relief and recovery if needed. So in this particular situation, learning is a lifelong kind of evolution, is a lifelong process. So when they are trained on kind of basic information, but it's difficult in learning and then putting it into practice, because when you learn something and then maybe you don't get presented with a particular situation until months down the road, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So, so we have to have that kind of ongoing forum for them to continue to have support. And then these meetups give them that opportunity to be able to do that. So it gives them an opportunity to have kind of that relevant learning and information being kind of circulated throughout the process, throughout their journey in this particular role, amongst their peers, within a safe space.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to have that continuing support after going through such a rigorous training. Now, in regards to those meetups that are provided by Workplace Options, we see that they're very unique. Have you seen the impact that these have had for the ambassadors or on the organization itself?
Like I said, we do a survey at the end of these sessions, and just based off those results, we have found that about 86 of the attendees find these sessions helpful in nature. And around that same number of people find that these sessions help them feel more confident and more empowered in their role as an ambassador. Because again, we're working to give them insight and help them find practical solutions to support their colleagues. And they also give tangible feedback and support and recommendations to the facilitators as well. So over 90% of the attendees feel like the facilitator was encouraging, they were engaging. They helped them create a safe space to share their experience so they can support their colleagues.
Oh, nice. That's great data to get from those surveys. I'm glad that you're able to capture things like that in the moment to get that information. Well, Shelby, I really thank you for being with us today. I myself have learned so much more about the program. So just wanted to say thank you for your time. For my listeners to learn more about the Wellbeing Ambassador Program, you can visit consulting.workplaceoptions.com, or you can email us directly at WPO Global Consulting at workplaceoptions.com. Until next time, take care.